Welcome back to another episode of The Quiet Shit Out Loud, where we talk about the quiet shit in different places. And, it's not always just about the professional world, but the personal one as well. We can go in a number of different directions, and we've got a number of interesting guests. And leaning into that, our guests today, we've got Nate, and Nate needs no introduction, but I will let him do his introduction in a second. As normal for our disclaimer, the opinions represented on this are the opinions held by the individual, not to be held in perpetuity. People's ideas change, especially as new information becomes available, and also are not reflective of the companies that they are a part of, either now or in the past. But we're gonna have some fun with this. So, without further ado, Nate, why don't you give the audience just your quick introduction before we ask you our famous two questions?
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, definitely thank you for the invite and for being here. I'm glad to grace the stage with you gentlemen. But my name is Nate Wiley, and I am a recruiting professional. I've been doing so now, I think 13, 14 years. I kind of only try to count the milestones. Um, but currently running my own shop as lead recruiter, TA manager, marketing, business development, graphic design coordinator, whatever you want to call it, of Infinite Talent. But doing some fun stuff, some challenging recs that I'm working on with some startups. But glad to be here and let's talk about some stuff.
Yeah, and certainly, if people are interested, we'll leave some show notes for them to be able to reach out to you if there's some roles that they're interested in. Um, but Ben, why don't you ask him our very famous first question?
Yeah, Nate, let's get right after it. What's the in your space?
It's not even quiet. It almost feel like it yells. But a lot of leaders, and I think we notice, like they don't know how to recruit. If I if I guess, I think a lot of recruiters are probably hit him like duh. But I think I've just learned that I work with some very smart people, and it's like the simplest processes that I feel like I can do in my sleep, or the pitfalls to look out for when looking to interview and hire people that are just it's mind blowing. They never even considered that this might have happened, or it wouldn't have went this way, or of course they want to take our offer no matter how low it is. And it's just it's just like, wait a minute, what? Like always trying to piece together, like, how do you think like that? Like, it's just so it's so like, where is the EQ around here? Like, clearly everybody's a rocket scientist, but when it comes to the people side of the house, working with startups specifically, I've just learned to ask a lot of questions and make sure I'm communicating my thoughts as best as I can without stepping on toes, if that makes sense. Anybody that's worked in those environments, even a big environment with certain types of leaders, you want to present information in a way that, like, yeah, like let them read it, let it marinate, and then, like, okay, yeah, we're on the same page. Like, like it's not really you can't just come out the gate strong and just sort of drop, like, no, this is how it should be done, or else we're going to fail. You gotta have to let it slow roll a little bit.
Yeah, no, I love that you came right out the gate with it. That is, I mean,
I I was nervous. I don't know why. I knew what I was going to say, but I still was kind of nervous about it because it was just um I still want founders as clients, so I still so
yeah. Well, but I
I don't
mean, I
want.
think you touch on something which is really key there, and I think there's something in that which is, really smart people can start companies, but you know as somebody who has their own company, as two people who have their own company on this call too, and somebody who's worked in a number of different companies and understands the operational back end probably better than most across a number of industries. I think there's more to it than just the idea and the thing. You have to think about everything else when you're founding a company, and sometimes it can be hard to see the forest for the trees for it. So I think that what you say there is really, really on point to what it is. And I think my question to you right there might actually be, all right, so what are steps that people can sort of take to maybe make sure that people get informed on, hey, look, like you're you think you know, and you do know what you know, but these might be your things that your unknown unknowns. And how do you sort of help people come along and uncover them without sort of coming in with that baseball bat and hitting them in the face with it?
I try my best to one just lay it out in the simplest way possible, or um well, not or and be able to provide some story, some sort of, attachment to, I've seen this before. This is exactly what happened, or in order to help you avoid these mistakes or these challenges, let's do it this way. I do a lot of soft language. Well, let's try. Like let's like yeah, you almost have to really present it in a way of, especially if you're working with engineers, let's test it. Like let's run a test. Like I think when you start to speak in that kind of language, they get that part of it. Like, okay, yeah, like it may not be perfect on the first shot, but let's dial it in. Let's start somewhere. Let's run our experiments. Let's debrief, and then let's continue to tweak. I think once you realize that some change or some sort of education is going to be needed, it's good to run it that way. Even if you're not solving a problem overnight, you're showing progression towards a solution, which I think oftentimes like builds that credibility of like, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. Like let's let's let them cook. Like let's continue to let them drive this until we get to a point to where we feel like we're in a good state of, okay, this is way better than where we started, or this process was much smoother. Um, Especially because I mean, I love working with startups because we all are sort of just testing and trying things out. Even I know how to recruit. I know how to, implement systems, not to your level, but I know how to get one in and get applicants in it and make a hire. Like it may not have all the bells and whistles turned on, but we can make it functional. But I've implemented greenhouse, and I know I'm only using like 50% of greenhouse, right? But I also know it's not worth the time to set it up to 80-90% because they're not going to use it. Like they don't care about that stuff. And so you have to make those decisions of like, okay, where's my time going to be best spent? Like what does this particular company at this particular time really care about, and make sure that I'm delivering on that piece of it.
I You said two things that I thought were really compelling. One was the idea. It's not an idea. It's really a great practice. The shared language, the shared knowledge. Like, how do you build that connection? Right. You talked about the infamous engineering leadership. Right. Testing things out, trying things, and using the language that the people that you're supporting are using in the work that they do to be able to bring the two worlds together. And
Mhm.
so I think that's really important because when you started with I tell stories, and the story helps build that connection to, hey, now we can talk about the outcome that we're trying to drive, right? And I think that's what helps set the foundation for a really strong relationship, doing what I would say is arguably some of the most stressful work, building a company, and then trying to find other people that are going to share in your dream and your vision of what your company could look like in the future.
That that last piece you mentioned is huge in startups, and I don't want to get off on a too big of a tangent, but that's is something that I'm even working on personally to to sort of fast track my connection to a founder's mission and their vision and what they're looking for, because they're looking for that in candidates. So I can find a good candidate all day. Like literally, they'll reject them because if they feel like this person is only looking for a job, then they're not a good fit here. Like we want someone who believes in this and wants to build this, and being a recruiter, right? Like I want to I want to tie a bow on it and say, hey, we're done, we found our guy, and move on to the next thing. But they are thinking more so about the long term and understanding they want to get someone who's with the company for the ride, and not just someone who's looking to take a just a hop in their career. But that the thing about working in the startup space that I've seen is just the candidate pool just gets so small, because there are so many great engineers or project managers or recruiters or whoever, like, but it always just comes down to that connection piece, which is tough as a recruiter, just speaking about myself personally, because I can talk to Jeremy and be like, hey, like this rec ops guy is great. Like we got along awesome, and then you can have a conversation with someone else within the team, and maybe there's a difference of thought there, and it's like, I don't know, like, and they're completely turned off by that, just that quick, because they know that you're going to be so heavily involved in what they're building that I can't afford to sort of take a chance on someone that I didn't click with in that way. And so that emotional piece, that feelings that's involved in recruiting, you can create the best interview process with the perfect amount of interviews with the right people and the right questions, all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, I still I'm looking at them and just seeing like how does this candidate make them feel. Like that seems to be what it comes down to. They have to feel confident. They have to feel that even it's so funny sometimes, like, to go through a whole process and like they'll reject great people because they for whatever reason or the other find somebody who they know can't do the job today, was like, but nah, I really like them, like they're eager, they're gonna learn, like they can figure this out, like they're smart. And it's just, so you wanted an intern, like it's like, so why you have been running me around, like, and so it's all you can do is laugh at the end of the day, because it's just like I was not out here looking for somebody who was going to have a ramp up. You told me that this person needed to know how to do everything day one, like it's like, but now because you feel like this person impressed you with their intelligence in some way, all right, no, this person be great. And so yeah, it's a tough job for sure.
100%. No, and I like what you say there too, which is, people, things change throughout the process, needs change throughout the process. And I think that's one of the quieter aspects of recruiting, that if you're not in the recruiting sphere of things, you sort of, as a candidate talking to a recruiter, like, God, this person sucks. And it's like that it's the duck aspect of everything. Like there is so much water being moved underneath the feet to have to be like, oh, so you didn't want to spend all this money on the thing. You did want an intern. If you wanted an intern, we could have advertised this role very differently for you and gotten you a totally different pool. But no, now that we're at the end and you've identified what you wanted, this is what we're going with. So I think that it's a really good call out to that. I guess, Ben, do you have any other follow-up questions to that, or do we ask our second question?
I thought the part about how you made the other person feel is one that is another aspect we don't talk about enough. We talk about all of the build structured interviewing, make sure you've got all these great assessments and questions about how you're going to do this thing. At the end of the day, I'm probably going to spend as much time with this person as I do with my wife or my family or my spouse or my significant other or whoever else out there. Gosh, I'd like to be able to enjoy when I'm doing that and not have it be contentious or something where I wouldn't enjoy that. So I think as much as we want to sell in recruiting the idea of being able to do the functional and the technical parts of a job, those other parts are going through a process, and they're equally important as, I mean, I think every recruiter would tell you in today's day and age, the network is just as important as your skill set. Who have you worked with? Who's endorsing you? Who are you talking with? Who can recommend you? And that aspect of this work hasn't changed in hundreds of years. I would even say thousands of years since when recruiting began. And I don't anticipate, for all you AI folks out there, I don't anticipate that changing with the advent of AI either.
It's very hard to defeat a referred candidate. I've seen it. I've had so many referred candidates come in and blow up my processes. I mean, I say blow up, but you know, it depends on the dynamic of the situation. When I was in house, I love them. It is what it is. But if I'm getting paid off a fee, now I'm not I'm not the biggest fan unless it's me that's doing the referring. But at the same time, I do get it, and I've had to even learn that in my business. Right? All right, what does this look like if somebody comes in the third hour and then an investor say like, "Hey, you need to hire this person," because that's what they're going to do. Um, yeah, I tell people all the time, the resumes and the interviews and all that kind of stuff. You want to have all that polished and ready to go, but if you know somebody, you are, the race is half done. You really just have to come in and not be socially awkward, and usually usually you'll get the offer because you have people vouching for you that they trust, and that goes way further than answering a question right.
Well, to close us out here real quick at the end, what do you think is the about your career?
Again, I don't know if it's great. This it's tough. Recruiting is hard. Like I think I think about this every day. Like, am I not doing enough? Do I need to, switch careers? Do I need to, I don't know. Like, but it all goes away once I get a signed offer letter, right? It's like I go through that same cycle every time. Um, but I think if you haven't done recruiting, people believe that it's easy. Like and I did before I got into it all those years ago when I first got my first job in staffing. I was like, finding people jobs. What? Like this about to be a breeze. like it was I thought I was scamming them. I'm like, y'all gonna pay me to find people? And so once I got in it and realized like, oh, okay, that's why y'all offer commission. Like this is sales. Um and so um yeah, but for the people who aren't in recruiting, even if are in the suburbs of recruiting and you kind of haven't worked direct continuously, it is so difficult to kind of be in the middle but not really have any power on either side. Like when you're just sort of trying to nudge this way on the hiring leader side and coax this way on the candidate side. Like, hey, no, y'all two like each other, right? Like, yeah, like y'all get along. Like that's how I feel. It's like, yeah, she can do the thing you said you wanted. Like, and so like so it's no big secret. You know, maybe to those outside of recruiting, but this is a tough ass job and it's getting harder having to, go against AI resumes and, and the good people aren't looking, they're not even responding. I can't tell you how many engineers I meet at in-person events, and I got off LinkedIn because I got tired of recruiters hitting me up. It's like, we're looking for you. Like we want to talk to you. They're like, nah, I'm not looking for nothing. I can find a job if I want. So if you're that good, and so if you have that confidence, great. But there are so many people on LinkedIn that I believe to be good, that I know can do a good job, but the leaders I want, or excuse me, the leaders I work for, want the ones aren't on LinkedIn, right? They want that diamond in the rough that can create, that one new product that no one's ever thought of, and so like it's just a constant grind. So yeah, no big secret, but the quiet part is this shit is hard and it's getting harder. And I'm trying my best to evolve as a recruiter and figure out how can I leverage technology more in order to not necessarily make my job easier, but I do want to um decouple recruiters from so much administrative stuff so that we can focus on making those real connections and sort of being able to exercise more EQ with our hiring leaders and kind of better understand exactly what it is that they're looking for so that we can find people faster.
Well, Ben,
Yeah, that is amazing. And Nate, thank you so much for sharing
Thank y'all.
the quiet part out loud. Uh, love to give you the opportunity. Where can people find you?
LinkedIn all day, every day, too much. Laying in the bed at night, first thing in the morning, just reading posts and looking up candidates. But LinkedIn is the best place to find me, Nate Wiley. Um, if for whatever reason you got something more personal to say, it's Nate@infinitalent.com. Feel free to shoot me an email.
Love it. Thank you so much for joining us today. And this concludes another Quiet Out Loud.
Thanks, y'all.